Welcome to episode 7 of Moto BS with Bryan and Sean.
What's up, everybody?
Episode 7.2.
7.2.
Yeah, we've been experiencing some audio issues the last few episodes, and we're trying to get it worked out. And we thought we had it nailed, and then
You're being nice. It's on. I'll take the blame.
well, if you could see the setup he has here, it's crazy. There's all these buttons and knobs which I don't know anything about.
Well, I'm always on the quest for trying to improve it, right?
Yeah,
But
and then we
I
thought we
changed
had
one
it.
thing.
We thought we had it, and then the camera time's out at 30 minutes, so we take a little break in between. And you always go and listen back, and then you're just like, you're going to kill me. This is terrible.
It was horrible. It was unusable.
Yeah, so
So
this should be like the best part ever because now we've had a practice.
We had a practice run.
a practice run, so now we know what to say and what not to say,
Yeah,
and all those things that I stumbled over in the first.
I can improve my comic timing. The punchlines.
The punchlines, yeah. All right, so this week we're gonna talk about. Well, we have a couple. If we get to it, we're going to talk a little bit about the DGR, which happened here in Tampa this week, or
The delayed DGR.
Delayed DGR. We ended up doing it on June 2nd because it's one of those things. I'm on the planning committee. It showed rain all for like a whole week leading up to the event, and so we had to make the call whether to cancel or not. And it was like 80% chance of rain, and then of course it didn't rain, and everybody was complaining. Why did you cancel it? And they don't understand like all that goes into an event like that. You know, you have the highway patrol, you got all the food that they're going to have in the morning for the breakfast meetup.
And you can't cancel the day of.
You can't cancel the day of, right? And then we had the end place lockdown. You know, and they were going to make it a private event, basically to close the parking lot to Grand Cathedral Cigar. It's a huge place, and they were going to have food there, like tacos and all this stuff. And you know, you can't just the morning of go, sorry, we're not going, you know.
Right.
So we had to make the call. We made the call, and then it didn't rain. So it looked like
I wouldn't want to be in that position to be the one to make that call.
No, we didn't want to make that call. So if we get to that, we'll talk about that at the end of the episode. But first, we're going to talk about an event that happened a couple weeks ago that we went to, the MV Agusta grand opening over at the Largo store of Next Cycle.
Yeah.
It's a sister store for the Ducati of Tampa Bay.
And if you're not familiar with MV Agusta, it's an Italian brand, a premium Italian brand.
Yeah.
High-end bikes.
What does MV Agusta stand for?
Well, it stands for Give Me All Your Money.
Yeah, it's they're very beautiful, but very expensive. Yeah.
I fell in love with them. I got to be honest with you. I absolutely love them.
I've seen them before because I've been in that store, and they've carried them for a few years. They were doing kind of like a re-grand opening sort of thing. They had brought some of the executives in from Italy to come, and they're debuting a couple of the new models that are coming out this year or later this year. And so they clear out the whole store because that store also has the Priya, and they have Moto Guzzi. And they have a lot of used bikes there as well. But it's a smaller store. It's much smaller than the Ducati of Tampa Bay, which is a massive store over on Adamo in Tampa. But yeah, so they cleared the whole store out. They did a little red carpet. They had a DJ. They had some Grazie Italian grill there, some meatballs and and pasta and some of the tomatoes and cheese. I don't know what the hell that
Italian wine and beer.
Yeah. So it was a really nice event.
A lot of fun. If you should look up in your area. If you're in close to a city, there's probably events near you. It's really cool to go to these things. There's always something on the calendar from month to month.
Yeah. So people kind of shit talk Facebook a lot, and I understand why. There's a lot of downsides to being on social media, but the upside is
events.
Like you see these events, and because if your friend likes an event, you're like, oh, that looks cool, and you click interested, and then the calendar updates, and you get notifications about it. Like we would have probably forgot all about it, but you and I both saw it independently. We both clicked on it, and it was a ticketed event, even though it was free. But they didn't want to get 1,000 people because it's a small store, and they were having food and stuff, and they don't want it to be too crowded. So we both registered early and got tickets, and it was perfect too. Though, like the crowds in there was plenty of people, but not so many that you couldn't walk.
Yeah, they did a good job with the number of people.
Yeah,
it was nice.
We had one celebrity there.
One celebrity,
which we got a selfie with.
Yeah,
we mentioned that. It's Andre Vasilevsky, or they call him Vasi. He's the Lightning goalie. it's
one of the
funny.
best goalies in the NHL, right? If not the best.
Yeah, he kind of had like a little bit of a down year. He had some injuries and stuff, but no, he's definitely the best goalie in the world, I would say.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he could buy every one of those motorcycles 100 times over.
Yeah, I said that to you kind of offhandedly, joking around. I'm like, he must have incredible self-control because, I'm looking around. If I had his budget, I would have bought at least 2 of the Super Veloces because they're so beautiful. Like what? How do you decide between the white and the red one? You don't when you have his.
Exactly.
But he didn't. I mean, I hear he has a Ducati, and just one, as far as I know.
Wow.
But yeah, when I told you that, you kind of chuckled, and then I was like, Google his contract, and you Google, you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Because I think if you put his first contract with his new one he just signed, it's like over $100 million total. So yeah, like even those crazy expensive bikes.
If I had known that then, I would have asked him for a motorcycle.
I know, yeah, because we're like, didn't your sister say that to you? Like,
she did.
She's like,
she did.
Forget asking him for a photo. You should ask him for a motorcycle.
Yeah, I said I don't think I'm his type.
Yeah.
But you never know.
He seemed like he's a very nice guy. He's very quiet and shy.
Yeah, very humble. He just stood in the back.
Yeah,
and
it wasn't like
out.
a paid public appearance. He was just there because he likes motorcycles.
Yeah,
yeah, and he hung out the whole night.
Sweatpants and a t-shirt.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, maybe you should hire a stylist. I might give him that.
But we had a good time at this event, and the highlight of the evening was they were unveiling 2 limited edition models.
Yes.
The Rush and the
LXP
adventure bike.
Yeah, we'll get to those later. We got a little video. We're going to kind of scroll through the video that Sean took the night of.
We'll do like a reaction.
Yeah, we'll do a little reaction. We won't comment about the beautiful DJ or the beautiful motorcycle in front.
You're getting old when you're like, turn the music down. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, they had a lot of different flavors of MV Agusta here. Here we're looking at some of the Brutali line. And this one was a limited edition American Dragster, they call it.
Yeah, so
you can see on the back there.
I was telling you earlier that to me they remind me a lot of the Ducati, the Street Fighter and the Diablo. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a similar, not that one so much, but the other one, the
Brutali.
Is that the one we were just looking at before that?
Yeah, the red one.
Yeah, yeah. It looks a lot like a Street Fighter.
That definitely Street Fighter-esque.
Yeah. And what do those run? They're like 30K, right?
I actually didn't look that up.
Yeah.
30K sounds about right.
Yeah. Yeah, and you said they come in 2 different sizes, right? 800 and 1,000, or
for the Brutali, yep.
Yeah.
The Dragster only comes in 800.
Yeah.
And I'm not the biggest fan of that aerodynamic hubcap they have on there. I don't know if that's the actual rim or.
Yeah, so later on we'll look at some actual beautiful wheels. That looked kind of hinky. I don't know because it's sitting on the outside, like you said. Looks like a hubcap.
It does look like but
and I think it actually is a hubcap.
I kind of get it. I mean, I get the aerodynamic aspect of it, and it kind of looks futuristic. There's a part of me that says, yeah, I get it, but there's another part of me that says it's just not good looking.
It doesn't, yeah, because the detail on. So earlier we talked. It's funny because re-recording it. I was telling you that I was talking to Fabrizio, who's the president of the Ducati Tampa Bay club, and I think he also works at the Ducati dealership. He's from Italy, if the name didn't give it away, and he got to go with Trevor Varney, the owner of Ducati Tampa Bay and the owner of Next Ride, to Italy to tour the MV Agusta factory.
Okay.
And he was saying that, he was expecting assembly lines like you'd see at a car factory, like or maybe even at a Honda factory or a Yamaha factory. But he walked in and it was just a big empty warehouse. It was in this little town in Italy, and there's nothing but a bunch of middle-aged Italian guys standing around. And he's like, well, where do you guys do the bikes? And they're like, right here. And then
one at a time.
Yeah, one at a time. They put them together. All the parts are hand assembled, and each bike has a little plate on it with the signature of the man who assembled it. I say the man, maybe it was a woman, but I think they're mostly men from what he told me.
Nice.
Yeah, go men. No, I'm just kidding.
Go men.
We're losing all our jobs to women. No. That was a joke. So I'm going to get canceled. Why do you let me keep talking? You should just
I don't know. Cat's got my tongue.
So that's the Super Veloce we're looking at now, and you were telling me on the way over there that other than the Thruxton, what you consider the more beautiful bike is the Super Veloce, right?
Well, I look at the Super Veloce as Thruxton from the future.
Yeah.
Right? It's got the same design elements. It's got the Le Mans style gas cap. It's got the leather tank strap, the single
the little bikini fairing,
the bikini fairing with the headlight on it.
Yeah, and do they all have the round tail light too, or was
Yep.
that just they all have that?
They all have it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's the back end of the bike is really cool looking. It looks like a rocket on the back of it. I know it's just a tail light, but it looks like it should have fire coming out of it.
Yeah.
Looks like some Batman would ride, And yeah, they had like 4 or 5 of them there in different colors.
Yeah, maroon and white.
Yeah, and they have the one that's
Silver.
very Iron Man looking. It's got the red with the gold, but the white one, that one.
This one is just
with the gold frame and the
brown seat. Everything just works. Brown seat and the brown tank strap, the gold wheels, the gold frame.
And so if we sell your Thruxton and my Tracer, we would almost have enough money to buy that.
Almost,
because that costs as much as both our bikes combined. And you were saying like when you bought your Thruxton, you're like, this is a really expensive motorcycle, and it is for what it is. I mean, because it has the same engine as Triumph now has on the Speed Twin, right?
The 1200 Bonneville, yeah.
Yeah. No, but the 1200 Bonneville, like the one I had, it had the high torque engine. You have the high horsepower one.
High horsepower.
And they have the high horsepower one on the Speed Twin. The one it's a
the
Bonneville.
Speed Twin is the same engine.
Yeah, it's the Bonneville line, but it has the same engine as the Thruxton, but it's like $6,000, $8,000 less than the Thruxton.
Right.
Because the Thruxton, you're paying for that retro look.
Yeah.
You're paying to be uncomfortable.
Right, the lower clip-ons.
It doesn't even have. It has regular gauges on it, right? It doesn't even have like a TFT or anything.
No, it's just the same.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of the things I liked about owning the Bonneville. I did like having like real gauges, like analog. It did have like a little tiny screen in there that you could adjust some things on.
Does the Speed Twin have 2 gauges, the tach and speedometer separate, or is it just one combined?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not sure. But these have a TFT, right?
These are, full color TFT.
Yeah.
And here you can see too where Bryan and I were just blown away by these wheels. They're spoke wheels, but they are set up so that you don't need a...
Yeah, so it's got a single swing arm on the opposite side, and then on this side, it just has spokes on one side. And so it's a tubeless tire.
It's a tubeless tire. You don't need a tube with it.
Yeah, we were complaining about the... I borrowed my buddy Jose that was on our last episode. I borrowed his Bonneville for the DGR yesterday, and I was giving it a bath before I took it to the thing because I wanted to look extra spiffy, and I got to cleaning his wheels, and that brake dust and the grease from the chain, especially the back wheel, gets covered, and they have the crisscross spokes on those, and they're a pain in the ass to clean.
Oh, it's horrible.
Because you can't like run a rag down. One, you've got the whole mechanism with the chain and stuff, and then you got the brake on the one side, and so you can't get your hand in there. And when you can get it in there, the spokes touch each other as they crisscross, and so you can't just run the wire the thing down the wire. You have to like just get it all around it. And
the trick is they use strips of cloth and they put it around there and do that, but that's still time consuming.
It's very time consuming. Yeah.
Would you rather clean your spokes or go for a ride? Right?
Yeah.
I'd rather go for a ride.
Well, based on the way Jose's bike looked when I got it, I think he's more the ride guy.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, because his exhaust, those bikes have a blacked out exhaust, and they were white with dust, So, and so I kind of mentioned this earlier in an early episode. I got to be the lead on the DGR this year. I'm in the planning group, and they asked me to help design the route, so I made the route, and then the guy Ty Trong, who organizes it, asked me to lead. That's why I was wanting to ride the Bonneville and not the Tracer, because I didn't think it'll look right for the lead bike and the thing to be a modern sport tour. He said, if you want to ride it, go ahead. I don't care. And I'm like, if there was no other choice, I would, but Jose was going to be out of town. His bike was just sitting there, so we swapped bikes. And
Nice.
I think that now he got to ride the Tracer because he mentioned in the last episode he bought the MT-09, so now he's really excited to get that MT-09.
I can't wait to see that bike.
Yes, neither can he because he's had some issues with the paperwork on his old bike, the titles in the mail kind of thing, and so now he's out of town and the bike's sitting there at the dealership. Both bikes are at the dealership, so he just has my bike sitting in his house and I've got his. Yeah. But anyway, let's get back to the video here. So.
Couple of arrives caught our eye.
Yeah,
there.
so right when we walked in, we both went to the back. I picked up the Japanese style one. It was absolutely beautiful. Like it has the wave design that you see at every hotel in Japan, and I actually have in my house.
Under the Waves of Kanagawa.
Is that what it's
is
called?
the title of that, yeah.
Yeah, I have it on my wall. I don't know what it's called. I've seen some pretty funny versions of it. They have some with cats, and they've got some with Godzilla, and
Right.
yeah. So it's parodied, and like I said, everywhere you go in Japan, like when you walk into these tourist shops to buy souvenirs, even there was one that had nothing but like canvas wrapped paintings, famous Japanese paintings, and that one was everywhere. And I bought one to bring it home to put it, because I always do like a little photo wall when we take these trips. And I got it home and realized it was way too small, so I ended up buying one on Amazon for like half the price and 3 times the size.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool paint. It's a great helmet.
No,
I love
yeah.
it. I would totally rock that helmet.
I would if I was willing to part ways with $900, because those
hurts.
The graphic ones are much more expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying that I have the plain white one and the Region X, which I paid like $500 for, and then I've got a red one. It's the other style. It's the more race focused style.
Corsair?
I think it might be the Corsair.
Okay.
But I got a good deal on that one because our friend was working at the Ducati dealership, and it was a leftover from a year before or something, and so it was almost half price or whatever.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I bought that one because I had the red bike, but then the reds don't really match. It's a little too orange. It looks fine when I'm wearing it, but when I like sit on top of the bike to go take a photo,
You can tell
you
that
can
it's
tell.
different
Yeah,
shades.
it's definitely a different shade. Yeah, it's much more orange.
So here we have one of the bikes that they're going to unveil tonight at the event under wraps here.
Yeah.
They had the MV Agusta president of the U.S. line
Yes.
here at the event. He was the one that gave the big unveiling speech.
You'll see him because he's wearing a very nice. There he is, wearing that linen suit.
Young, attractive Italian guy in a linen suit.
Yeah. I don't know. Okay, you were looking for the bike. I was like, why are you going so low on that guy?
I'm just trying to
Yeah.
get the shots of the bikes here.
So there's the Iron Man one.
This is, Brian and I call this the Iron Man one because it's got
It's got all the colors from Iron Man.
the same colors, and that the headlight looks like his.
Yeah, like his chest plate.
piece.
Yeah. Like my boy Styles G. White has that tattooed on his chest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's a former Bucks football player. He rides a motorcycle, and he does a lot of social media stuff. But yeah, I've seen a few pictures of him, and he got that tattooed on his chest.
Huh.
That whole thing.
Now this one is the R model of the Super Veloce, and this one is $35,000.
Yeah.
Or in other words, way outside of my price range. But I do like it. Although I would pick the white one over that one.
Yeah, I think the white one just was
There's the tail
way
light.
more classy. Yeah, look at that tail light. It looks like a thruster or something. Yeah.
A nice satin finish on the paint, which you don't see a lot of.
Yeah, I had that matte finish on the Bonneville, and it was a black matte finish though, and it was so hard because if you got a little scraping or whatever, you couldn't buff it because you buff it, it would take away that matte. You know what I mean? And so
Which shines it up.
yeah, almost immediately after I bought that bike, I don't know if I had a belt buckle or something, but something put a little scratch on the tank, and it drove me crazy the whole time. I tried to like touch it up with some black paint, and it looked even worse. You know.
Matte helmets are like that too. You have to be
Yeah.
careful with how you clean them.
So there's a good shot of the wheel with the
The offset spokes.
offset spokes. Yeah, look at that. The seat is like suede, and there's your Alpine Stars helmet.
Yeah, I threw that in there because these are back ordered. That's a big flex now. So I was like, I'll get a shot of the Alpine Star helmet. MV Agusta t-shirt.
Yeah.
Shout out to Marcus for the MV Agusta t-shirt.
Yeah, so we were talking about Marcus earlier because he has the Aprilia S, was it?
RSV4.
RSV4, yeah, which
sport bike
is an insanely beautiful, crazy expensive sport bike. And
crazy fast.
Oh, yeah. And he said, come outside, you got to see it. I got the new exhaust. And we were like, okay. And if you just saw that exhaust on the shelf there, it was fantastic, beautiful, right? So we go outside. His is not that one, I don't think. But it has all those fancy welds in it.
Yeah,
and
titanium.
And it was more straight on the end than these here, but absolutely gorgeous. And, you know, I've done an exhaust on the Bonneville. I put the Vance and Hines on there. I did the X pipe on it. I think altogether it was like $1,200. Hopefully my wife's not watching. And it made it sound crazy good. I love the way it sounded. It wasn't like one of those obnoxious Harleys that you hear from 10 miles away, but it was a little louder and more throaty than the stock. But Marcus was telling us he paid $10,000 for that exhaust.
Yeah.
And then he proceeded to tell us that his favorite bike to ride, because he owns like 9 bikes, is his Yamaha XSR 900, which costs $10,000 brand new, the whole bike, which I'm sure he's probably modified that one too, knowing him. But yeah, he put an exhaust that costs more than his favorite bike. He's like, I don't even really like to ride this bike. It's too fast to ride on the street, and I don't want to take it to the track.
I said, you should sell it, man. He's like, I'll never part with this.
Yeah, no, it's you know, it's kind of, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, here's the point where they unveiled the 2 bikes. The LXP on the right hand side here, I think he's gonna do that one first. That's kind of a 800cc adventure bike. It's a little more off road focused than I think the like Multistrada V4, and probably more equivalent to the Multistrada V2, because even though it's a triple, it's that kind of in the middle, right?
Right. So
it puts out more horsepower, I think, than the Multistrada V2, but not nearly as much as the V4. But Trevor Varney there, you can see him he's the bald guy there on the left. He's the owner of Ducati, and he's saying that the Multistrada by far is like the most popular bike they have, and like the all-around best bike probably for like doing everything, because that bike makes 170 horsepower. You can take it off-road. It's got cruise control. It's got radar front and back. It's got blind spot detection. But then he went to Italy and he got to test ride that bike in Italy, and he said he thinks it's better than the V4, which is that's quite a claim. Yeah. So he's like, I'm excited for you to try it out, and I'm like, yeah, me too. But
now this, if I remember the Rush was one of 300 made. Yeah. This one I think was close. It was one of 500, one of 300.
Yeah, because this one's signed by that guy whose name you know and I don't.
Eddie Orioli.
Eddie Orioli, yeah.
Famous Italian Dakar rally racer. And this was his livery, the Lucky Strike livery.
Yeah, because you were saying, oh, look at the, you can't see it from this angle, but
I get another shot here.
Yeah, the rear view mirror or side view mirrors have the Lucky Strike logo, basically. That doesn't say Lucky Strike, but it's the red circle.
And I was like, that looks so much like the Lucky Strikes. There's Bryan.
There's that handsome guy looking at his phone.
Proving we're there. Oh, you have to prove you're there. Yeah. The internet doesn't believe you. Nice bike, though. The fit and finish on it looked good. I mean...
Yeah, it looks like a nice bike. Like I said, I'm not really an off-road guy, so I would stick with my Tracer. And also, I think it's going to probably be at least $20,000.
I think it's a brand flex when you have something like that, right?
Yeah. It's probably $25,000 if I'm honest, based on the other bikes that they have there. At least 25, yeah.
And this is the unveiling of the Rush.
Yes.
Which is the model. It's a one model, although it's based on the Brutale. Okay. So it's basically like a Brutale on steroids.
And this bike,
one of 300.
$50,000.
That's right. It was.
It's $50,000.
It is, I guess.
Yeah.
$50,000.
Yeah.
Now, what do you get for $50,000? Let's fast forward this a little bit.
Yeah, I bought my wife. I didn't buy my wife. We bought a really nice Kia Telluride. It was like $40-something thousand, and I thought, I can't believe I paid $40,000 for this car, right?
Yeah, it's
And this bike, which has
50,000.
much less utility than her 8-seater, you know.
Right. You talk about a flex.
Yeah,
This is a flex.
That's a flex. I mean, it's got that snake painted on it, which you'll probably have a shot of later.
I do get a shot of the snake. So the reason the snake's on there is he was saying that this paint is only available on this bike. And
it's
it's
got that
called
weird hubcap on it too, which
Yeah.
I didn't care for.
It's called a Red Mamba. Also, it's got the split exhaust,
yeah.
which the Brutales don't have. 1000 cc.
Yeah, look at that paint. And it's got the round retro headlight, but a full TFT, obviously.
Yeah, Red Mamba is what they call that paint.
Yeah.
LED headlight with the. I assume it has the sensors, the lean sensors.
Right.
So 208 horsepower on that thing. It's a beast, for sure.
So
Not my cup of tea. I mean,
yeah, note to self: if I come across one on the street, don't challenge him to a drag race. You know, not that I would drag race anybody anyway, but
it's a cool. I mean, it's cool if
yeah,
that's your
interesting
thing.
how they have the guards over the exhaust. Probably, I'm sure there's some kind of bag, some luggage that goes on there, which to me would make me think it sticks even further out, or maybe it goes above that.
That is a big can, though.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's pretty heavy duty there.
You can see the guy's name there, Eddie Orioli.
Yeah.
Full color TFT.
Big fan of nipples, that guy. He likes the pepperoni and the nipples. Is this the part where I'm dancing?
Well, I included this because they fire up one of the F3s.
Okay.
So we get to hear what this MV Agusta triple sounds like. My only disappointment was...
How many guys does it take to start a MV Agusta?
Yeah, at least two. At least three, it looks
At least
like.
3 people, yeah. Here we go. We won't talk over it. Yeah, all the details on these bikes are pretty flawless.
I was impressed. Yeah. And
there's all the rest of their stock outside. That's normally inside. All the Moto Guzzi's and the Suzuki's and the Aprilia.
Bryan went out looking for a Moto Guzzi.
Well, yeah, I did. Well, I did go looking for Moto Guzzi because our friend we mentioned before, Frank, he got rid of his bikes. He's one of the people that quit riding. But when I was at his birthday party, he was talking quite a bit about the new Moto Guzzi's, the Mandello, and then they have the off-road version of the same. I test rode the Mandello when this place here had one of those coffee meetups. They do test rides sometimes, and it's actually quite fun. Although the seating position is a little, well, your legs are a little more aggressively placed, like the pegs are kind of farther back, but there's a Multistrada V4 right there.
So here is Marcus's
Yeah.
Aprilia with the $10,000 titanium exhaust.
Yeah, so we'll
He gives us a little rip.
Give you a little taste of it, yeah.
Sounds Italian. It sounds like an expensive Italian motorcycle.
Yeah.
So that was it. That was the event.
Yeah, it was, like I said, fantastic event.
It was fun. I
As
love
always.
going to this thing.
Yeah, so I mentioned before that I went to the Ducati grand opening a couple years ago, and they put on a party. Those guys, they do a good job. I mean, this store is much smaller than the Ducati store, and the Ducati one they had girls in bikinis, you know, like juggling flames and dancing with giant feather wings and guys walking around with like expensive appetizers and like full bar and all that stuff. This
Nice.
place they had
Yeah.
they had some nice Italian champagne and beer, and they had some good Italian food.
We've been to some good Triumph events too over the years.
Oh my god, yeah, they've done. Well, they had the same girls, I think, at that Triumph event that we went to, and they had a guy singing, and they had.
Because when you look through when you're Googling in Tampa, flame jugglers, that's feathers, they're the ones.
They're the ones, yeah. They're pretty. Maybe I could probably dig up a photo we can put here because
okay,
it might be worth it. Yeah, I'm sure Bobby, our friend Bobby Sanchez, has some photos because he's the one that arranged that.
Yeah, we'll have
I think he was working at both places. That's now that I'm thinking about it, this might be a Bobby thing and not really.
Okay, it's on his
It's in his Rolodex,
right? It's his contacts.
Well, he's too young to have a Rolodex, but
I don't even think he knows what that is.
Probably not. Yeah, he knows what a Rolex is, but not a Rolodex.
He's got them in his favorites on the phone. There.
Yeah, for sure. He's got them on the favorites. Yeah.
What are you doing next weekend?
Yeah,
we got a gig.
Yeah, we might have to get Bobby in here at some point. He's worked at both Tampa Triumph and Ducati Tampa Bay.
He would be interesting because he's
in marketing.
He's in marketing, so he's worked a lot with in seeing how to put on these events, these motorcycle events.
Yeah, he's also the person that bought my my Ace Edition Bonneville.
Yeah,
he doesn't ride it too often, Bobby. You don't ride enough, but matter of fact, he because we had to postpone DGR from the original date to this week, he wasn't able to ride in it. He did come, but his wife was with him, and they were going to a wedding or something afterwards. So, and he had the whole, he was dressed for it, but he also did take a lot of video because he's gonna make a video, which maybe at some point we can upload to our YouTube when he's done with it. Because he does amazing video work with these companies. He works with other podcasters and dentists and all kinds of stuff. He does promotional videos.
That's what his business
That's what his business is. Yeah,
that's what he does.
If you're looking for marketing, Savage Marketing.
Savage with a J.
Yeah, Savage with a J.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I met Bobby, he was a little bit younger than he is, obviously, than he is now. But that was like his catchphrase. He'd be like, I would say a joke or I'd go, oh my god, you see Sean's hair and be like, savage.
that was his tagline.
That was his tag on everything. Yeah, I would.
What are you talking about, Willis?
I would send him something like a joke in a text or whatever, and he'd just answer back, savage.
Savage.
Yeah.
With the J.
With the J. Yeah. See, he's already working on
it's branded.
Yeah, it's his brand. He's got.
I love it.
Yeah, so he has I think he's got. If you go on Instagram, he's got Savage Photography, Savage Marketing, Savage just about everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool deal.
So we just gave Bobby a free plug.
Yeah.
Well, he gave me that discount on the helmet, so I guess he earned it.
He's a great guy.
Yeah. Yeah, so as we're recording this yesterday, Sunday, Sean fell ill last week.
Yeah, I was.
So we had planned on, because I'm going on a trip next week, so we were planning on doing an extra episode. We did Jose's episode, and then we were going to do the normal Tuesday recording, and then have one banked. Basically, we'd do this week's episode, and then we'd have an extra one that we could post next week, which we may still find a way to record another one. But in the meantime, Sean got the flu and couldn't get out of bed
for 5 days.
Yeah, no, he was really hurting. So we ended up not doing the normal Tuesday recording and just posting Jose's episode. And then you couldn't even make it to DGR. You were still on your last couple of days of recovery.
Yep.
So he didn't get to experience it with me, but it was quite a fun event this year. It was when we postponed it, like we mentioned earlier, that we were thinking, oh well, the turnout's going to be low. Although that definitely proved to be not true. I think if we had run it the day that it was scheduled, enough people would have stayed away because of the forecast. And it was not a pretty day, even though it didn't rain. It still wasn't like a beautiful day out. Yesterday was amazing, sunny all day. It was hot. It's Florida, but it wasn't as hot as it could have been.
Yeah.
And we had people come in from Sanford and from Orlando, from other places. They had done the ride on their original day, but because the weather was crappy and some of those rides aren't as well organized as Tampa's ride. I mean, our friend Ty Trong, he's been putting it on this is his 11th one.
Wow.
This is the first time they've ever had to postpone it for weather. So that's a pretty good streak, really. Especially because they used to do it in September, and it rains quite a bit in Florida in September.
Yeah, it was an opportunity for them to do 2 DGRs, you know.
Yeah, so a lot of people
the
came,
same year.
So yeah, so I'm not really much of a public speaker. I know we're doing a podcast, but at a certain point, Ty doesn't really like that kind of stuff either. And so in our planning group, he's like, "Hey, well, Bobby's like, hey, Bryan likes to talk. Let him do the pre-game announcements, basically." And there's another guy named Marcel who does a great job. So they were going to divide up the work between the two of us. And at first I was like, oh yeah, no big deal. I know I don't do a lot of public speaking, but you know, there's like 60, 70 bikes here, and most of these people I kind of know a little bit. And then it just, as the hour went on, it just kept filling up. And we're at Niche Cycles, which is, they've got like a little parking lot that's kind of fenced in by their garage, and so that started filling up, and it started overflowing to the outside. And I mean, it must have been like 200 and something. I think we had 180 registered, but then there was probably at least 40, 50 more people that just showed up from the other, because they had already registered with the other place, or they came with some other guy or whatever.
So you're seeing these people roll in, and you're like, I got to think about what I'm saying now.
Yeah, I didn't really have like a written out. I was really just going to talk about, you know, we're going to ride in a staggered pattern. We've got the FHP. So I'm saying it better now than I did on Saturday when there's no pressure. Yeah, and Ty just hands me the bullhorn. So I'm like, well, we may get a video of this because Bobby was recording it all. He actually mic'd me up with a wireless mic.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, not nice. It's terrible. But I did okay. My niece was standing behind me. She's like, oh, no, you were fine. But then Marcel got the mic, and he was like, yeah, let's go, 2024, you know. And he did like the top 10, and he called out all the sponsors. And
oh, nice.
Yeah,
cool.
So I'm glad he was there. So that was his opener. You know, you don't want the strong one to go first. You want the closer to be the better person. So yeah, so if that shot comes up next year, I may just pass on it and let Marcel do the whole thing. Or
next year, you know, you'll be more familiar with it, and
maybe I don't know. I just don't have that. I don't have that gene. You know that. I mean, we're doing this, which
this is different.
This
though, is you're not in front of a live audience.
In a different way. Yeah. I'm not that
live audience performing is
because I have been the best man in a couple of weddings, and I got up to do the speech. And I was like, yeah, my friend, he's cool. And I like her. She's kind of pretty.
I know him.
Yeah, I know that guy. Back when we were in high school, yeah, he was cool. He's still pretty cool. Yeah. So anyway, but the ride turned out great. As I mentioned before, I did the route. For years, I've been wanting to do the cost. So we have in the Tampa Bay area, if you're not from here, there's basically Sunshine Skyway, which is a little too far south, and it's a big giant bridge, and you got to go on the highway to get to it. It's the one, whenever you see a movie filmed in Tampa, it's the one that they always put in it. It's kind of like the Golden Gate Bridge.
Are there movies of Tampa?
Oh, yeah, like the Punisher was shot here.
The Punisher.
With John Travolta. And there's been many Punisher movies. It actually took place in Tampa.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
The funny thing about movies shot in Tampa is no matter which way the characters say they're going in the movie, they always go over the Skyway. Even though the Skyway connects...
So they can get that shot.
Yeah, the Skyway connects Pinellas County, which is not part of Tampa. Tampa's in Hillsborough County. So the mainland Florida, you got Hillsborough County here, and then you got the Bay, Tampa Bay, and then there's a little part that sticks out, like Florida's little Florida, is Pinellas County, and that is connected to Sarasota County by the Skyway Bridge, which it's a big, beautiful golden. It's got the cables, you know.
Right.
So it looks kind of like it's actually, I think, quite a bit bigger than the Golden Gate Bridge. Not nearly as famous, obviously, and you could argue it's not as beautiful, but I don't know. It's a pretty beautiful bridge.
Yeah, it's a nice.
It used
bridge.
to be an ugly erector set looking bridge, and then they had a tragedy back when I was like 8th grade or 4th grade or whatever.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was quite the day.
The ship ran into it
in 1978 or something. Yeah, the ship hit it, kind of like what just happened up in
Baltimore.
Baltimore, yeah, where it was the same exact thing. The ship got off course and hit it, but. Anyway, I digress. Too much about the bridge. So anyway, I want to do the Causeway Bridge. We've gone over the Gandy a few times. We've gone all the way through Oldsmar a few times because usually the ride will start in Tampa and end in St. Pete, or start in St. Pete and end in Tampa, depending on which side we choose to start and which side we choose to end. But I'm always like, why don't we go over the Causeway? It's the most beautiful bridge, like as far as view goes, for the passenger traveling over it. It's not beautifully. There's no aesthetic to it like when you see it from a boat, but when you're riding over it, it's at ground level, unlike the other bridges which are raised. So you're riding right along the water. There's palm trees. There's there's like a little, rocky walking path, and,
Right.
and
Very picturesque, very Floridian.
yeah,
Yeah.
you see the clear water. There's a nice parking lot at the end. There's a terrible beach there called Ben T. Davis Beach, which I wouldn't dare swim in that, but they have nice parking lot there, which would hold a lot of bikes. And so after 3 years of fighting for it, they finally like, fine, we'll do your ride over the causeway. And I was so nervous because I was afraid I was going to get there and there wouldn't be any parking for us. But it was perfect. We pulled in. There was a huge open section. We put all the bikes in. And unfortunately, we went over two bridges. We went over the Bayside Bridge, which is a north-south bridge over the bay. Connects like 49th Street to McMullen Booth. Now I'm getting into the weeds for geography. But that bridge, there was an accident. This is like the first time we've had an accident in the DGR.
Yeah, I was actually really surprised.
Yeah, we're not going to post a video of it. There is a video out there. It's not like horrific or anything. It's just I don't really know the guy that
Right.
crashed, and I don't want to put it out there. But I've seen it because I happened to be talking to a guy who was running a camera on his GoPro on his vest, and he had the whole thing. And I think what happened was, in these big rides, because I was leading it, and I never went over 50 miles an hour the whole way, even though the speed limit's 60 or 65 in some of the places, because it's hard to keep that. You want to keep a tight formation, and you want it staggered so you've got plenty of room to stop. But if you get too far apart, then people got to speed up to catch up, and then cars can get in. And I think what happened here is like somebody tapped their brakes and it caused like a chain reaction, and then everybody started slowing down because they saw the lights.
Yeah.
And he was probably looking off at the bay, the beautiful bay there. There's an airport right there, so maybe a plane was flying in or something.
Just wasn't expecting it.
And he looked back forward and
Grabbed a handful of brakes.
and it was an older Triumph, I think. It wasn't
ABS.
It wasn't ABS, so he just grabbed that front brake, and he was an older gentleman, and he wasn't wearing any. Well, nobody was wearing gear because it was DGR, but he's dressed up,
But when you put this in the chat yesterday, and I was reading about it, the first thing I thought of
it made the news really fast because my friend, who's not into motorcycles at all, it's like, "Was this your ride?" And I'm like, "It just happened like 20 minutes ago. How did you?" Yeah, it came over the Bay News 9 or the Wire or one of those.
Wow. But it's when I heard that, I think you were speculating that he was, wasn't perhaps paying attention.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you could see it in the video if you.
You could see his head.
So the video that I got, the guy texted me the video, but in that video I couldn't adjust it because it's kind of locked in there. But he had it on his phone from his camera, so he was able to zoom in. So I was able to get a better view when he showed it to me on his phone. And yeah, everybody kind of bunched up. I think he looked forward, saw that everybody was stopping. There was room in the emergency lane. He could have possibly swerved around, but that's the thing. You panic. We talked about that on an episode before, where most accidents are caused by you not paying attention and or panicking when something does go wrong.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. I think he panicked. He grabbed too much brake and just basically, I think he high-sided it, just flipped over the top, and the bike and him just went sliding across the pavement, which that you got a good shot of because it happened right in front of the guy that was filming it.
And for those, if you're watching or listening to this and you're not a rider, if you grab your brakes and lock up your front wheel tire,
it's just like when you're a kid and you're on a 10-speed.
You're going down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. It's just it's like 1 + 1 = 2. Lock up your front tire, you're going down.
Yeah, we take our modern bikes for granted with the ABS.
With the ABS. ABS was a game changer in that world.
I know. It's funny because my friend Brad, who works on these older bikes, him and Ty, they buy like old bikes and they flip them, they get them running again, and then sell them for a profit.
Right. Not literally flip them.
Yeah, not like this guy flipped it.
Maybe they flip a few here and there. Who knows?
Maybe, who knows? But I remember when I showed up on like my modern Triumph, and I was talking about all the ABS and IMUs and all this stuff and traction control, and he's like, "Oh, nonsense, all this stuff," But he's old school guy. I mean, if this other guy had that, he probably wouldn't have actually.
Yeah.
He probably wouldn't have crashed. I hear he's okay. Oh, well, he's not okay.
Which is great.
He's injured.
Yeah.
But he's he's not going to die or anything. I think he broke a rib or two and got some road rash.
The other thing I want to mention about that is, as somebody myself who's done many DGRs, And if you're not used to riding in a large group,
Yeah.
where you can have that concertina effect, right? That slowing down, the speeding up, it can catch you off guard real quick.
Yeah.
I've had to grab the brakes quick a few times.
I've been
in
on
that
just
ride.
rides where we're going to Orlando or whatever, and it's like 10 or 12 bikes.
Yeah.
And I had a guy who had just bought his bike. He was new on it. It was an older Japanese cruiser. So it was kind of a heavy bike, and it wasn't super modern. And he panicked, locked up his brakes. Like, I look back and there was like smoke. Like he burned rubber, literally.
Wow.
But he almost caused like a 5-bike pileup because he.
Oh, I remember that. I did that ride.
Yeah, I think you were on that ride. Yeah, I can't remember his name. I wouldn't say it anyway if I could remember it. But
But he didn't go down.
No, he didn't
locked
go
up
down. He locked the rear brake.
Yeah.
And he just skidded and it freaked everybody out.
Yeah.
But he could have caused a huge.
Yeah, that could have been a bad scene.
So anyway, that was the bad part of the day.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Yeah, it was extremely hot, and since I was on Jose's bike, I did not have my my phone holder. So I had I had a magnetic tank holder, and the direct sun, and having that map running the whole time. The phone, when we got to the midpoint, it just turned off. It overheated. And then the second part of the ride was the part with all the turns in it, and so I was kind of like. So I went to talk to the FHP officer, and I was like, okay, so when we leave here, the phone, because I texted him the route. I'm like, it's going to try to make you turn this way. Don't go this way. Mm-hmm. Thankfully, I had last week. Remember, you were going to come with me. That was the day you found out you were sick.
All right.
I was gonna ride the Tampa side of the ride because it had all the hard parts in it. And I just went and did it by myself. And thank God I did, because there were some parts in there that would have been could have messed up if I hadn't done that. So. Anyway, overall, it was a good event. We had the ending at Grand Cathedral Cigars, and we had Renee's Tacos there. Everybody got like one free taco, one free beer, if you were dressed, in your dapper attire.
Nice.
Yeah, so it was really good. People hung out for a few hours. I mean, I stayed there till like 3:00, and we got there at like noon. I mean, I was one of the last people to leave, to be fair, but I was chatting with one of my buddies who has done some pretty long adventure rides or cross country journeys. So
well, I was really bummed I missed it. I still am bummed I missed it, but there's always next year.
Yeah.
So
always
I look forward to next year.
Yeah.
And we can always, you can ride Dapper anytime, guys.
Yeah, we've done. It's funny because when you're going home, you're still wearing the outfit, and you pull up next to these cars, and they just look over at you, and they just think you're some dude that likes to dress up and ride his motorcycle.
Look at that distinguished gentleman.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that'll become our thing. We're getting old,
Yeah.
Be that guy wearing.
I feel good, and
wearing the newsboy hat and riding his motorcycle. Well, I'll probably wear a helmet, but got the vest and the thing.
Well, Bobby did a monthly meet up.
Yeah, he did it like
did the Dapper.
it was like a warm up for the DGR. Yep. Little did we know it was going to get postponed, but yeah. So some of our little promo videos we shot, I was wearing the big brimmed hat and the vest and all that stuff.
So maybe we can do a few of those a year.
So real quick before we run out of time, did you watch anything while you were sick that you want to talk about?
Oh my gosh,
you probably watched too many things.
Too many things. I watched some really good stuff. Did I tell you about the Jacques Cousteau documentary I watched?
You mentioned you watched it, but you didn't tell me about it.
Not really worth going down there, but I thought it was interesting because that was like a memory from my childhood.
Oh yeah, he was big when we were kids.
Yeah.
Like, everything was Jacques Cousteau.
Cousteau.
He literally invented scuba diving. So
well, this young fella who has this YouTube channel went on a hunt for the Calypso, his ship.
Okay.
And went through the whole history of it and where is it now and that kind of thing. And it was fascinating. But in terms of like movies, TV shows, I watched the third season of one of my favorite Indian series called Panchayat. And do you remember back in the 90s a TV show called Northern Exposure?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember who wrote and directed that?
No.
David Chase.
Oh, the
from
guy
Sopranos.
From Sopranos, yeah.
And it was funny because when I first started watching Sopranos, which I loved, I think it's still to this day one of the best things ever produced.
I love like the first season or so. It got kind of tedious to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know people love it, so I'm not going to say it's not a good show. It's kind of like people just go watch The Wire, and I did. I watched all of it, but certain points you have to force yourself to keep going.
Yeah, Walking Dead, like the first 4 seasons of Walking Dead is brilliant.
Yeah,
but
no,
after that,
yeah,
it's like
I went
it
off
becomes
that.
comical.
Yeah.
So anyway, this Indian show is kind of like an Indian version of Northern Exposure.
Is it dubbed or subbed? How's the language?
Well, I watch it in Hindi with
I thought you were like
with closed captions.
I was like, you're a man of mystery. I didn't know you spoke Hindi.
I can understand it.
Yeah.
And I know a couple hundred words. You know, what I struggle in is putting the words together.
I would say knowing them and then like interpreting them when they're coming at you at 100 miles an hour is a different.
Yeah.
Because my dad speaks Spanish. A lot of my family, my wife is Spanish. She's Puerto Rican, so all of her family speaks Spanish. I know a million words, and I can listen to her on the phone and go, I know that word. I know that word. I know what she's talking about. But then if you ask me to answer her back, I'd be like, I don't.
Yeah,
I
it's
can't
hard
do
to
it.
do.
Yeah, it's hard to do it. Yeah.
But I can pull the content. And the interesting thing about Hindi is that they nickname it Hinglish because of the British were in India for so many 300 years or so.
If you say so.
They
Fact check.
They what they do is they blend a lot of English into Hindi. So when you're watching these movies, the actor will say a full sentence in English and then a full sentence in Hindi. They'll just keep going back and forth.
Yeah.
So you can really pull context out quite easily. But this show it's a fish out of water show. The guy is from the big city and he gets
So it's like Alien Nation.
he gets an assignment in this little village.
Yeah.
And it's about, it's a fish out of water. He's there in this little village. And of course he becomes, enamored with the culture and, it's because it's the human experience
Right.
and all that kind of stuff. Right. So it's one of my favorites.
Those shows are good. I like those kind of fish out of water shows.
Yeah.
Have you watched the Michael Mann movie Ferrari?
I've watched the trailer about 5 times now. I can't pull the trigger.
Yeah, so it just came to I think HBO or one of the services I've got. All my stuff runs through Amazon, so it just pops up. I don't know what it's actually on, but I watched it the other day because my wife was on a cruise. I was sitting there by myself. I knew she wouldn't want to watch it, so it's good. It's interesting because it's a very particular time frame of Ferrari's life. It's the old man Ferrari that started the company. Enzo, yeah. And it's after his son has passed away, I guess, from some disease that he got. They kind of talk about it. So it's Adam Driver playing him with some white hair. And
how did he do?
I thought he was good. And then the one casting that was weird. So they had Penelope Cruz as his wife, and even though she's Spanish, she pulled off the Italian perfectly. She was great. And you could tell, like, it was like they had a real relationship, and she was like his business partner, and there was a lot of push and pull because she knew he was like, had all these women, all these affairs. But I guess at some point he fell in love with this other woman who was played in the movie by Shailene Woodley. Okay. Who's from one of those teen book
the
sci-fi, futuristic, whatever things. To me, she was miscast. I mean, she's not a bad actress or anything, but I think she was supposed to be Italian, and nothing about her says she's Italian. Her accent was not.
She looks more Nebraskan.
Yeah. And so that part was strange, but so they had an affair during the war, during World War II, and he had a son with her, but it was a secret from his wife, although I think everybody else in town knew about it but her. And she found out because the banker slipped or something. Anyway, so a lot of the movies takes place about that relationship, about him and his wife, and they're struggling to keep the business afloat because he doesn't want to sell. He wants to race. All he wants to do is make race cars, and he sells the cars to rich people to make money till he can race. So Ford was toying with buying Ferrari at that point. This is before the Ford v Ferrari part. So like I said, it's a very specific window. It's crazy how little value the racers' lives had.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because in the movie, like, I like 3 or 4 different guys just, the cars just blow up, or they hit a little rock and fly into the air and
like next.
Flip up. Yeah, literally, like one guy was coming to watch. He wanted to be a driver. He had won some race, and he's like, "Oh, I don't have time for you." And then while he's watching the practice lap, his best driver hits the wall and a car explodes, and he goes, "Be back here Monday morning," and you're like, "Holy cow!" Like, that's That's crazy.
Disposable.
Yeah. And there's a scene that's near the end of the movie. There's a race they do between the two cities or whatever. Or I don't know if it's a loop or they go from
The Mille Miglia.
maybe that's it. I don't know. It's a big race, and all the Italian cars are racing each other there.
Probably
and
the Mille Miglia.
Yeah, there was, but like and Lamborghini, and I saw some Mercedes. Yeah, one of the reviews I saw said Adam Driver like killing Italian accents in 2 different movies or something.
That's funny.
Yeah, I thought he was fun. You know,
He's a good actor when he does his, brooding.
yeah. I mean, he was playing an older guy too, which was kind of. They did one flashback scene to when he met the girl during World War II, and where he had the dark hair and stuff. But and I saw a picture of the real guy, and he looks kind of similar. He's a very actually Adam Driver's a pretty big dude in real life. He's like 6'4" or whatever, former Marine. So when he's playing these people who are probably not that big in real life, I'm assuming like a middle-aged Italian man in 40s was not a big dude, you know.
Right, I would assume, yeah.
Yeah, but they gave him a little padding around the waist, and you know he's always wearing suspenders. And
although you're Italian, you're over 6 feet.
that's true. I'm an anomaly in my family, though. I am the tallest person by far of anybody. Oh. I hear the milkman was very tall in my neighborhood. Sorry, Mom. That's probably not true.
Probably not.
I do look a lot like my dad, though, other than he's like 5'9". Yeah. My dad's short. One of my sons is 6 foot, and the other one's like 5'9". Of course, my wife's not super tall. She's 5'6", so, which is
5'6" is
pretty average for a woman. Yeah. And my older son, he started off 99th percentile all the way till he was like, you know, a teenager, and he had a huge growth spurt. It looked like he was gonna be like 6'5" or something, and then he just stopped growing. It's weird. Kids are weird.
Kids are weird.
It's a good note to go out on.
And on that note, we'll see you next episode.
Go ride a motorcycle, and kids are weird.
Yeah, go ride a motorcycle.
Yeah, go check out an event. Check out one of your local events.
That's true. Yeah, go find an event. Look up Facebook, like you were saying. You know,
yeah,
it's a great place
Sean
to
and I
find
have got
it
an event coming up in our minds. We haven't put it out yet, but
yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah, I actually was telling somebody about that the other day, and he was like really interested. So
good.
So we need to get that one on the calendar.
Yep.
So
when you come back from your Alaska cruise,
right? When I come back from visiting Alaska.
All right. Well, then that'll do it.
All right. Take care.
See you guys.